All right, so we're doing part whatever in the 2011 pistol build here. I've just got everything torn down, doing that deep post-season clean. Everything, all the parts here have already been, see there's the little stuff there, ultrasonic cleaned. I switched up my recipe and used diluted ballistol and water. It's a 90-10 mix, 10% water, or I'm sorry, 10% ballistol, 90% water. And it did a fantastic job cleaning. Left, after you wipe down the excess, and I took an air compressor and blew out the crevices and whatnot, left a nice oil film on everything and super clean. So what we're looking at here anyway is grip tape for the grip. In my most recent video, I had talked about how I really wasn't happy with how grippy, or the lack of grippiness on this texture for the DVC style grip. That this is made for STI by another company. The other company takes the standard STI grips. That I've got one in here somewhere. If you didn't know, the grip starts out like this, and then the other company takes soldering iron like that and changes the texture and the profile a little bit. So like I said, I wasn't super happy with the grippiness of it, or lack thereof. I got really used to grip tape on my competition M&Ps, and I just want it to be grippier. So I'm going to teach you how to make your own grip tape, because if you can make it, why would you buy it, right? I mean, granted, grip tape is really cheap, that you can buy already pre-cut out for whatever pistol you may have. But hey, like I said, I like to make stuff. I know other people out there like to make stuff too. So you can get yourself a roll of skateboard grip tape on Amazon. You see, it's just that. It's basically sandpaper is really what it basically is, on a heavier backing with that adhesive. I think that roll there was like $10. I don't even remember. I bought it last year. But so basically what we have to do is, first we're going to smooth this out. I'm not going to really remove much material except for just a little bit of that texture, just so there's more surface area for the adhesive on the grip tape to stick. That's step one. Step two is going to be making the template, and that's really going to be the key to this process, to get a nice, accurate, nice looking, professional looking grip tape, instead of just slapping some rectangles on there, which I've seen people do. Hey, function over form, but let's try to get form and function out of this. So first step, tools. I just got a little wooden shim, some wooden dowel. Small hard objects can be great for backing your sandpaper, to keep a consistent surface instead of just your finger, especially when you're getting in tight edges and corners. I'm only just using 220 grit sandpaper. I don't foresee, or I don't really want to use a higher grit, because I don't want to be too aggressive with material removal. So that's step one. And then step two is going to be, like I said, making the template, and I'll just be using blue painter's tape for that. So first I'll do a little bit of sanding, and we'll come back to that. All right, did that sanding, like I said, with 220. And what I actually did after that was I grabbed my Dremel with a buffing wheel, just to smooth it out even more. So basically, it's got like it's you can still see some texture there, but it's a lot smoother. So I created more surface area. Basically, if you look at any of your polymer guns, oh yeah, don't forget your mainspring housing to get that smoothed out too. If you look at any polymer gun, I basically made this about the texture of a stock M&P, to my hand memory. So there's going to be plenty of surface area for that tape to stick to, especially when it's perfectly cleaned, which I'm going to do next, and then more surface area. So the best thing to clean stuff like this with is just good old rubbing alcohol, running it under water. At least this wouldn't necessarily be a problem, but you could get some water getting stuck in some spaces, whereas the alcohol is going to evaporate very quickly. So again, just using some rubbing alcohol to clean off all the dust, and then we will make the template after that. So again, don't need to watch me clean this with alcohol, but next will be tape. All right. Another thing with the rubbing alcohol, you notice I didn't put on any gloves because obviously it's not dangerous at all. But it'll help remove oils off of your own hands too, because the oils are gonna give you problems with adhesion with the adhesive. For just making the templates, I'm not that worried about it, but I'll probably actually put on gloves for when I'm doing the final tape. Another thing that's really helpful is taking your good old heat gun and just, I'm not heating this up, like I could actually change the shape of this polymer with this heat gun, but I'm just warming it up and drying out any last residue of alcohol. When I've done grip tape for other people, either be it skateboard style tape where it's basically just that black sandpaper, which is silicon carbide, or like a Talon brand grip, which is more rubbery, which I do highly recommend that as well for like a carry gun. People will come in and say, oh, I had such a hard time getting it to stick. What am I doing wrong? And number one, what they're typically doing wrong is not doing this prep work, which is cleaning it thoroughly, and then this magic trick of just warming up the parts. So I am not getting these hot to the touch at all. Right now I'm just, like I said, drying out any last puddles of alcohol, getting those to evaporate. And again, it's just toasty. It's just warm. I'm not trying to get it hot. But again, we're just making the template to start. So the idea of the template is, this is obviously curved, right? So if you were to just take a square object or a square strip of tape, we can just demonstrate it with the tape, as we're going to be making the template anyway. As I put this on the front strap, you know, the angle is going to change. So if I were to cut out a straight line just on this grip tape and think it's going to line up perfectly, it's not. So what we're doing with this tape is going to be just making something to draw on. So obviously the mainspring housing is the easiest one to demonstrate this on, because it's just a small piece, because I'll do a time lapse of me taping up and tracing the grip. Where's my pen? Oh, I got a Sharpie. Oh, I got a blue Sharpie. That's not going to work on blue tape. But basically, once you have your tape on there, you then would trace. I'm going to have to use a Sharpie for when I'm actually doing this. And then you peel that off and lay that on, and you'll see that when you peel that off, I'll show it with this, you'll see those will be curved to fit the contours of the pistol itself. So I'll tape this up, and then we'll look at it all contoured. Alright, so everything's taped up, and you probably just saw me tracing that out. And basically, you know, you can push down on the tape, and in the light you can see where your screw holes are and just trace around those. And then you may have been able to see with the edges, I basically push the tape down, and then you can just run the edge of your marker on the crease that you made in the tape. And same thing up atop there. So the next handy tool is going to be your friendly neighborhood X-Acto knife. I'm going to just trim away the excess. I'm gonna leave a little bit of overhang, and then we're gonna peel it off and lay it out on the tape, or on the grip tape. Oh, I didn't draw a line on my mainspring housing. One thing of note right now, basically you'll want to cut, so on these outlines here, when we actually cut the tape, we're going to make it a little bit smaller than this, so it doesn't go right to the edges, so we don't get any binding. And then like on our screw holes, we're going to cut them a little bit outside that line, so there's plenty of space. And then your mag release, there's a little cutout there. But you can kind of see how when I cut away, if you take away this tape and then imagine unfolding it, it's going to be basically, like Rorschach butterfly sort of shape. So again, I'll put it back. Actually, you don't need to watch me do that. Actually, I'm just kind of doing this off the cuff like a lot of my videos. So you can see how I'm doing that edge. Just crease it and run the edge of the marker along the edge that we made. Obviously the mainspring housing is essentially a rectangle, so that one's really easy. And again, we'll have it just a little bit smaller than the absolute dimensions, just so there's a little bit of wiggle room if we need it. So yeah, I'm just going to trim away the excess tape while it's still on the grip, and then we'll lay it out on the grip tape. So, such excitement. So I remembered something, or actually, look, trimmed off the excess. If we want to make basically if we want to unlock the infinite grip tape code for ourselves, we need to make a master template, or rather, this is kind of the master template, but like mold making, if you're familiar with mold making, or if you've heard the term, they broke the mold after they made that one or that person, they're unique, they're one of a kind. If we don't want to lose the mold, I'm gonna put this on a little bit of heavier, this is sketchbook paper, it's a little bit heavier weight paper. And I also can obviously just make a bunch of grip tape as I want it. So I'm gonna take this tape off, put it onto here, and that will become my master template that will go onto here. So yeah, I'm just gonna do that and show you how that looks, and then get to the next step there. So here's a good example of how it's not straight. So if we look at the bottom edge, you can see that curve, right? So that round object on paper is going to make a slight curve. So you can see that very, very slight arc across the whole template there. And then some of those wrinkles as well. In the tape you can see when it's laid flat, there's a little bit of bubbling. So, when you're laying it out, if you've ever done decals on a car or something like that, or like window cling stuff, getting those edges or those bubbles out is key to getting that nice flat surface. So the next step here for this template is, like I said, cutting it out with that X-Acto knife, and then I will have my master templates. So next step, like I said, I'm going to cut these out, lay them on here, and the main thing to remember is which direction this is. So this face here is where the grit is going to be. So when we're orienting it on here, we're actually going to put it blue side down on the backing here and then trace over that. Starting to look like something, right? Again, a little bit harder, not really cardstock, but it's gonna last. So I got my two templates. I made the little annotation on this guy, what direction is up, even though it looks like it's pretty much a perfect rectangle. I think there's a little bit of a taper to it. But again, we got our holes cut out for our screws. These ones don't do anything. Remember, at the bottom, they're just aesthetic, just for looks. We have our notch cut out for where our mag release shows through, or pushes out the other side. We're pushing from this side, pops out there. So we can see how this is gonna work. We can basically line up our holes, and then we see how this is gonna wrap around. And stick on there. So We're going to trim a little bit inside those lines. Looks like I made it a little long on the back side, but again, we can always trim away material. We can't put material back. But that looks nice. That's going to be good. Okay, so here's a great example of why heating it up. This roll is tight. Just going to take the heat gun real quick and just start warming this up. Help get it flattened out. Actually, you know what? This is going to be awkward. I'm just going to cut. I'm just going to cut a big piece off of this instead of trying to do the roll. Notice I didn't use my nice X-Acto knife with a fine edge to cut that rough. But yeah, so let's check this out. Heating this up definitely helps lay flat, and we'll get that adhesive activated as well. Right now we're not really worried about the adhesive part of it, but just to make it easier to work with. Okay, so that's doing a little bit. So what I'm going to do is remember the blue face of both these templates was facing out on here. So that is the black side or the grippy side. So when I'm tracing these, I'm just going to make a sample one or a simple one really quick for the back strap, not the back strap, sorry, the mainspring housing, because again, it's basically just a rectangle, because I can also show you that real time kind of quickly. Literally just moved a little bit, not a problem. Tracing that out and then cutting that out. And remember, when you're tracing, you're going out, you're outlining something. So you actually are going to want to cut a little bit inside your edge. And what's nice to get a nice smooth edge, just follow through. Just cut all the way out like that. Don't try to stop at your corners. So again, I'm just kind of puncturing through and pulling away, staying inside that line just a little bit. Watch your fingers underneath and cut all the way out. Oh, slid out at the end. Watch those fingers. I haven't had a new X-Acto blade in a long time. I forgot how nice that is. A nice sharp blade. And again, just filleting that off. So there is our first piece of grip tape for our template. So there's the top. Well, I'm going to show this part again real time. First, I'm going to heat it up again. Remember, I'm not trying to melt anything. We're just getting it hot or warm to the touch. Again, that's going to help with the glue and help the grip tape itself conform to the contours. I'm going to hit this with alcohol again, too, and my fingers. Again, like, you don't have to wear gloves. If you want to be really careful about it, you can. But if you're handling the alcohol and just get it on your fingers, it's gonna be nice and clean and oil-free. And the thing to remember too with the grip tape, this is replaceable, right? So that's why I like. Oh, clean those fingers, clean them. That's why I like the grip tape as opposed to what some people do, which is the silicon carbide with epoxy. Where it's permanently, you're basically spreading epoxy all over your gun or your grip and then putting raw silicon carbide on there and patting it down. And why I don't like that is because it still is going to wear away, slowly but surely. Sandpaper wears out. This is effectively sandpaper. So I can peel this off and replace it every season or even mid-season if it starts to feel like it's smooth. Now notice I left a little spot at the top so I can make sure to still get that pin there, okay, when I reassemble this. So again, it's not covering the whole surface. Let's get a better focus here. I have some edges showing there so I don't gum up or bind up when I put this back in the grip. Nice clean adhesion. Again, I'm just warming it up. And just pushing it into place. Ooh, that feels so much better already. Oh, that's not going anywhere. That's right where that's going to be. It's going to stay there now. Yeah, I'm getting weird, whatever. So, like I was saying, that's why I prefer grip tape over a permanent silica carbide, because it's going to wear out eventually no matter what. And then you are stuck with a gummed up gun. It's covered in epoxy. Whereas this grip tape, again, your infinite grip tape code, buying a roll off of there, making a template like I just taught you how to make, and you can just mass produce it for yourself. If you don't want to do it, again, it's not expensive, but usually you're going to pay $10 for either one piece of grip tape or maybe a set of 3. Ben Stoger sells them for sets of 3, which is real nice, for about $10, I think. But again, this whole roll was $10, and if I really got down to it, I could probably, I don't remember how much this is, but I could make probably a couple dozen sets of grip tape for myself for the same price. And again, it's not for everybody, but if you like making your own stuff, this is a great way to do it. So what I'm going to do here, same thing I just showed you, trace this out, cut it out, and then I'll show you the finished product. So just a few minutes for me, no time at all for you. And there we have it. So I actually didn't cut out these screw holes. I just put those false screws in there just to fill those gaps and just have a little bit more contact area there. So formed that, trimmed up the holes a little bit more once it was on there. Ooh, that looks nice. Look at that. Might as well have done it with a laser cutter. Whoa. Anyway, that feels way better. A lot more the grip that I've come to like for my competition guns. That, well, sandpaper feel. Definitely get more contact zone, or not contact zone, but just overall contact. Feel really connected to that much better than the stipple job that was on there previously. So, now I've got my template. I can make more grip tape when this wears out. And I did it myself. So now you know how to make templates for yourself as well. So it's one of those things, take your time. It's all in the prep work. And there you go. That looks great. I'll be putting the gun together later. I've got to actually switch out some small parts. I actually had to, believe it or not, my link pin, the pin that holds the link in there, is sheared in half. And I don't know when that happened, but the gun was working the whole season. So I've got to play around with some link pin sizing and whatnot, or link sizing, and see what's going on there. But the gun will be back together soon and back to wintertime dry fire practice. So again, thanks for watching. Hope you learned something today. And ask any questions you may have in the comments below, or email me directly. And thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day.